Well, ANC National Chairperson Gwede Mantashe has slammed the claims of vote rigging at the Nasrec conference. Mantashe responds to these allegations from our Pretoria studios. Let's talk to him. So, Mr. Mantashe, it's quite convenient to say this man is making claims and he's a con man, and alternatively to suggest that he remains bitter about the outcome of the 2017 Nasrec conference. But he makes specific claims about what it takes to forge membership in the ANC. What is it about his claims that you are dismissing?
No, Tula says, we dealt with that. I was Secretary General at the time. You know, we discovered forgery in Limpopo, in Buffalo City. The Treasurer General of the ANC at the time and the DSG dealt with those cases. Now, Tapelo Ponisa is actually a thug who admits publicly that he committed crime. I spoke to the Secretary General saying, here is a man who admits publicly that I committed crime. Why isn't he called in? I want him to be called in. We called Albim Khotso that he says he worked with, and he's also accusing that they took instruction from Comrade Dugwana. And a person who surprised me more was Ayanda Mdluli, who calls this man a whistleblower. It's not a whistleblower. This conference is more than a year ago, and he's raising these issues. And there's an element that they don't pay attention to. He says he was paid 2,500 rand to do dirty work, and he was promised job. That he is not getting the job, he decides to spill the beans. It's a thug who wants to be employed at all costs, and I think the ANC has a responsibility to call this man, take the case up, and actually this man belongs to a uniform that is orange. All right, so because he's admitting publicly to have committed crime.
Do you believe his admissions, though, Mr. Mantashe? Because it's one thing for you to say he's a thug that is now bitter about a job that he was promised and that there's been no delivery on that. But do you believe his claims that he participated in the forging of membership?
I don't believe it until he comes forward and say, this is what we do, this is the people I worked with, they are called in by the ANC, and everybody is questioned. For him to go around parading that he did this work in all the provinces. And there are places that I know he wouldn't go through in any way, but I want him to be called in the ANC, point up to the people he committed this crime with, and that case is investigated in details, and we deal with it.
But he says you, as the ANC, refuse to listen to him.
No, he has never talked to me. He has never talked to me. Actually, you know what Tola says? I am Mdluli of Independent News. You know what he says? He sent questions to Comrade in the Free State, and he asked him, would you say that you were instructed by Gwede Mantashe? Would you want protection as a whistleblower? Meaning that here is a journalist, he takes a story from a thug, he wants to create his own story, and he goes around leading questions to people so that he can pin down people. This man must be called in the ANC. If he's interested to whistleblow, he must come to the ANC.
Isn't he pointing, Mr. Mantashe, if you can still hear me, to system? Yeah, we do seem to have lost Mr. Mantashe there from our Pretoria studios. He's been reacting there to the claims of this man who claims to have participated in the forging of membership in the ANC. Let's go back to Mr. Mantashe in our Pretoria studios. And so, Mr. Mantashe, what he's talking about is not news, really, in terms of the systematic forging of membership. You've already said that you picked it up in Limpopo and in Buffalo City. And let me tell you, also in the Northwest, there were similar claims. So in terms of the modus operandi, the need for a bank statement and also blank membership forms, is this familiar with you as former Secretary General?
The point I'm making here, Tula Sizwe, people who are genuine about discovering fraudulent forms, brought them forward, we investigated those. If you remember, in Guyana, we disqualified a number of branches from participating in the regional conference because of those claims and following an investigation. Now, if you say after a year you committed these fraudulent activities and you are a whistleblower, I think you are not genuine with me.
What do you believe is his motive then if he's not genuine?
I don't know. He must come and explain whether he is used by somebody to create chaos. We are recovering, Tula says. It is not nice to people who thought that would collapse after Nasrec. We have not collapsed after Nasrec. We are recovering. You have seen our performance in KZN. One of the problems that was regarded as very divided. Full stadium, full overflow. We are coming back in full steam. And surveys are beginning to point at that.
SACP General Secretary Bladen Nzimande believes there's a fight back, in his view, of people who are pushing back against what the leadership elected at Nasrec has been doing. Do you believe Thapelo Leponisa is part of that fight back?
My own view is that if he's part of that, we'll discover when we meet him. He must come forward, want to meet him. He must explain his story. He must bring his co-conspirators in this dirty work. Then we can deal with, if necessary, take them to the police. Because to create a cloud over the ANC when it is recovering and coming back, cleaning itself, cleaning its act in government, is actually mischievous and dangerous.
But is it really unthinkable, Mr. Mantashe, that these shenanigans he's claiming could have happened? I mean, look at what was happening around the Northwest, for example, in the build-up to that Nasrec conference and the court outcomes there, where you ended up with some regions being disqualified from participating on the basis that their electoral processes were not proper. You had a similar situation in the build-up to that conference that had taken place in KwaZulu-Natal, for example.
You are giving evidence in my favor, Tula Sizwe, that when there is proper evidence, it goes to court, the ANC respects the outcome. But for everybody, every Jack and Jill, stand up and say, I defrauded the conference, I brought more delegates, is actually unthinkable.
So finally, and very quickly, Mr. Mantashe, you are challenging all right, he does seem to be. Mr. Mantashe, if you can still hear me very quickly, this is your challenge then to say to Mr. Leponisa, he must approach you if he's having difficulties speaking to the ANC.
He can speak to me, he can speak to the president, he can come. We are there every Monday. He can come, they will find 6 officials under one roof every Monday.
All right,
so
thank you so much.
So he cannot say he doesn't find the ANC. We're in Tula House every Monday.
All right, thank you so much. That is the ANC's Gwede Mantashe joining us from our Pretoria studios.